Ms Legalista here. Welcome to the live. We're going to be talking about divorce and identity fraud. It's tough to sort of share some of these stories with you because it's not like they're happy stories when I'm bringing you updates about scams and frauds that are going on, how they're on the rise, the amount of money that is flying out of people's bank accounts, wallets, purses into other people's hands because, like I've said so many times before, they work 24/7. They do not take weekends off. They do not go on vacations or sit home and just hang out with the family on holidays. This is like their full time 24/7 job. This is what they do. Figure out ways to take your money from you. In this case, we're going to be talking about divorce and identity fraud. And this lady and how she found out about this fraudulent divorce. We're going to look at the details, look at the judge, look at the attorney involved in this, because I'm sure the attorney is just like, what in the world am I involved in? I thought I was just trying to help someone get a divorce. This is the craziest thing I think I have ever heard of, because I just don't understand why the husband just didn't ask for a divorce. I don't know, but we're going to look into the details of this. But let me first talk about marriage. How many people are out there getting married each year? It's a lot. It's a lot. The numbers that I'm seeing out of Forbes magazine say about 2 million, I think a little over 2 million in 2022 got married. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot. And so if you start to think in terms of, well, where are all these people getting married? And I'm going to tell you, there's some hot spots in the country in terms of where all of these marriages are occurring. It's not evenly across the country. It sort of depends on where you are. And it may have something to do with who gets what kinds of rights. In some cases, people go get married someplace else, but I think Nevada is the only place that sort of thing is going on. But in most cases, you have to be a resident of the state for a certain amount of time. You got to jump through these hoops. You got to get the license, and you're taking an oath that all of those things are true when you put it up there. So it's not like it's something you can really do on the spur of the moment. You actually have to put some pieces in place before you decide that you're going to spend your life with this person. But yes, we're talking about and actually I was wrong. I said Forbes, but I think it was according to USA Today, over 2 million in 2022. And so as you can expect, the top of the list might be New York. So we got New York, Hawaii, DC, Nevada. Those are some of the places where all of these marriages are taking place. But we're really here to talk about divorces. Now, we've all heard the stats before. It says, oh, most marriages end in divorce. Well, it's actually not quite that high. If you're looking at first marriages, the statistic is around 43%. That's still a lot, though. That's still a lot. The question is, maybe you found out you didn't pick the right person. That person wasn't who you thought that person was. Or in some cases, you may have married young. It's a first marriage. You may have married young and decided, you know what, this is not quite who I thought I was and what I thought I needed and what I was looking for. Maybe I made the mistake. Okay. And so now this person is saying, I need to backtrack out of this and get myself together before I try to live my life with another person. But over time, according to statistics, since 2000, since the pandemic, there's been a decrease, a downward trend in both people getting married and people getting divorced. So people are kind of just, saying, you know what, maybe I'm good with where I am. I'll figure some stuff out and maybe I'll get there. But whatever the scenario is, I'm just going to sit here and stick with it for a while. So there's this downward trend of people just like not doing either, not getting married, not getting divorced. But here is the most interesting statistic that I came across. Now, this one is not one we think about, right? Because we tend to think about people getting married and people getting divorced, maybe people getting annulments, but we don't think about the couples that get remarried to each other. They got divorced and then they decided, wait, let's get remarried back. That was a mistake. We were supposed to be together. We were just going through something. So 6% of divorced couples remarry each other. So I can imagine that's all interesting, and hopefully they get it right the second time around. But I've got some questions here about this whole fraud that went on. And I'm going to play this for you so that you can hear this lady's story. We're going to talk about what was going on with this, what she had to go through. And I tell you, like I said before, I don't understand why her husband just didn't say, you know what? Um, why don't I just file for divorce? Why don't I just ask for divorce? Because it turns out he went to a civil law group that helps people so that you don't have to pay the full cost. And so they're there to help people. And it looks like that's what he used. But yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can bring this up here. It looks like I'm having just a couple issues here. Of course, I would be today. All right.
Vermilion Parish, a Texas
Oh,
woman says she's
well, let
going
me
through
click it on so you can actually see it. It's playing. All right, I don't need for you to see all the social blade stuff. All right, there we go.
a mix of emotions after learning her husband was allegedly part of a scheme to get a fraudulent divorce. News 10's Roderica Taylor reports how the husband's girlfriend allegedly impersonated the wife. It's a story you'll see only on 10.
Tequila Mouton says she and her husband have 2 kids and have been married for 12 years. She thought all was well in her marriage, only to discover her husband allegedly got a fake divorce with her. She says the other shocking part is her husband's mistress allegedly pretended to be her.
So let me stop right there just to get some things off the table. Again, just trying to understand here this whole idea of what is going on. Can you imagine being the person who finds out, and we're going to hear this conversation that the mistress has with her. So they have 2 kids. They've got 2 kids, it looks like. They've been married for 12 years. So it's not like a short marriage. They've been married for a while. And so you would think that they understand how to communicate with each other about something as serious as I need to get a divorce or I'm going to leave and then have you serve, but not this whole thing with the mistress. So this is just the craziest thing here. So let's hear a little bit more about what's going on here.
I feel like I'm on a Lifetime movie trying to put this puzzle together to see how did it even took place, how did the attorney did the information without my identification.
So yeah, this poor attorney, and I'm going to go to him in just a second, because if you're the attorney, you're thinking, okay, what is the number to my malpractice insurance company? Because I'm a little concerned here that this woman may now come back and try to sue me or sue the entity that I work for, because is there something wrong that I did during this? Did I not get the appropriate identification that I needed? Like, who was signing these documents for the divorce? And were these signatures notarized? Remember, the notarization of the document is to make sure that you have the correct party there, that you have looked at some identification, a driver's license, a passport, to make sure that that is the actual person. So I'm sure the attorney now is kind of saying, okay, I'm on edge here. There's a lot of stress. And not just worried about reporting this in terms of malpractice insurance, but also, is she going to file a complaint with the state bar? Is there going to be this investigation into how he handled this outside of, just this person making a complaint possibly to him, just the people that he works for, the entity, the organization that he works for, now saying, well, wait a second, we're going to need to call you here in the office, walk us back through how you started with this gentleman, what information he gave you, how you proceeded, the conversations that you had with him, what he told you about his wife, his children, his status, the marriage certificate. Like, what did you do? What are the steps? And then not just the attorney, but then the organization is then saying, okay, so now we need to go back and look at how we're training our attorneys in terms of what they should be doing. Did we do something wrong? Did we drop the ball on this? So a lot of people are going to be going back and second guessing and reviewing and trying to figure out what went wrong here. What went wrong? So let's go ahead and listen to what else she has to say.
Mouton, who now lives in Texas, says she has been traveling back and forth to Louisiana, gathering information on how she could be divorced.
My husband did not contact me, told me anything about he wanted to divorce me, didn't tell me that he filed for a divorce. If he wanted a divorce, I would have gave it to him.
She says she never received a subpoena or was present in court proceedings. She tells News 10 she learned of the divorce through his mistress.
You've been divorced. It's public record. Guess what? You seen that ring? Guess what? I'm about to be married to him next. So you can get ready. I'll give you an invitation.
Mouton says according to...
So just so many issues with this. First of all, if you're the mistress, why in the world are you calling the wife? I cannot believe you're going to this level of, I want to call it pettiness, but that you're going to call up the wife now and talk to her in this manner. There was a marriage there. They had two kids, okay? And so you're now putting it on record that you're somehow involved with him is the first issue. And then the second issue is this man really the person that you want to marry? I mean, look at what he has done now to his supposed current wife, engaged in a fraudulent divorce. How do you think your marriage is going to go forward with him? Like, what do you think that marriage is going to look like? How long do you think it's going to be before he is engaging in a fraudulent divorce with you? How can you trust anything in that relationship when this is how it starts out, as a whole fraudulent divorce? And let's look at the rest of this, because there are now charges against her.
The state and her attorney. She and her husband are still married. However, according to St. Martin Parish, the court did grant the divorce, but it's not finalized. The accused mistress is LaShonda Pope. She was arraigned in Vermilion Parish Courthouse Thursday morning for first-degree injuring public records.
Now, let me stop there, because I know some of you may say, what in the world is first-degree injury to public records? Yes, so let me bring that up for just a second, because I do have that here so we can see it. Louisiana state legislature, and I may have to put on my glasses for this so that you can understand what injury to public records is. A first-degree injury public records is the intentional removal, mutilation, destruction, alteration, falsification, or concealment of any record, document, or other thing filed or deposited by authority of law in any public office or with any public officer. So basically, they're saying she engaged in providing falsified documents to be deposited with the court. She gave false documents to the court. That is basically what it is saying there. That's the charge that's against her.
If we would have been done the proper way, but it was not done properly, because on the paperwork that I've finally gathered after 2 years, there's a whole lot of information on there that is not correct.
She says there was incorrect spelling of names, birthdays, and addresses.
I just want peace, and I want justice to be served, because...
Yeah, so if you're going to commit a fraud, one of the things you kind of want to do is to try to get the information right, because it makes it more evident that you don't even know what you're talking about. You couldn't even get your fraud right. For those of you who may be following me for a while, you know that I also covered the Graceland incident where they were trying to do this fraudulent foreclosure. And they had documents, and they had put a person's name up there, and this person is supposed to be the notary. And it's like, at least they got that right. But guess what? The notary is here and can show up and say, that's not my signature. So when you start to put these frauds together, because it's not true, there are going to be some gaps here. But in a situation like this, where you don't get the name right, you don't get the birthday right, you don't get the address right, you don't even have the children quite right, Like, you've messed the whole fraud up. If it were a real party, more than likely, the real party is going to know the names of the kids. The real party is probably going to know where they live. The real party is probably going to know, you know what? I have an idea of what my birth date is because I've had it for all my life. But in this case, you got somebody who can't even get the fraud right.
Because anybody that knows the law knows that how long it takes for a divorce to take place, especially with kids. I really don't know how to feel that a person could actually steal your identity and get away with it.
News 10 reached out to Pope and Mouton's husband, who both declined to add comments. We also reached out to their attorney, who declined to comment. In Vermilion Parish, Rodrika Taylor, KLF.
So I want to go back. Let me slide back because I do want to look at a couple of these documents in detail. So, well, that was the mistress torturing the wife there. But let's go. Let's see if we can pull up one of these documents because there is something I want to point out in one of these. And actually, it may be better if I go to the Yahoo article because there is something that I found to be absolutely unbelievable in this. I was sort of like, no, you didn't. You really didn't just do that. So in the documents, usually you'll ask the court for what you want. And you'll say, hey, I want this divorce, or I want to be the party who has custody of the children. I want alimony. You'll ask for certain things that you want. And so, of course, that's what they did here. There is this Yahoo article. Let me pull it up over here so that we can see it. Share this tab. And I'm going to scroll down because there's something I want you to see, which I found to be absolutely unbelievable. I'm going to scroll down. So this is the document where they said that the fraudulent divorce had actually occurred. Look down here where it says, it is hereby finally ordered, adjudged, and decreed that pursuant to law, the defendant is cast with all costs of these proceedings. Do you know who the defendant is? The defendant is the wife, and the petitioner is the husband. So the petitioner husband is saying, not only do I want this divorce, and I'm going to do it a fake way with my mistress, but I want the wife, the defendant, to pay for the proceedings. Look at this. This is what it says. The defendant is cast with all costs of these proceedings. Y'all. That was the piece that sort of, I tell you, you have to look at this and wonder about the absolute nerve and gall of some people. You really do. So you'll see the district judge here for the 16th Judicial District. And actually, I'm in the 16th Judicial District here in North Carolina. So it's Judge Anthony Thibodeau. Now, he has to be wondering about what is going on, too. I'm sure he's kind of like, okay, I don't want to get caught up in the, because you're the judge. And so you're usually sitting in the courtroom judging other people who have committed fraud. You're not usually part of the fraudulent activity because these people have pulled you in and sent you documents that were fraudulent. And so this appears to be our Judge Anthony Thibodeau in St. Martinville, Louisiana. It's got down there. He was born in Louisiana. It looks like he's a graduate of Evangeline Academy High School, licensed to practice law by the Louisiana Supreme Court in 1989. So this is somebody with a lot of experience. Imagine him now having to go back and pull this file out because this woman in Texas is now saying, hey, what you signed off on, that document was a fraud. Your Honor, it was a fraud. And again, it's sort of like, what is his level of responsibility with this? When attorneys show up in court, they are the ones presenting the documents. They're the ones saying, yes, this is correct. And the judge is going on faith in their word and the fact that these are licensed attorneys. You're a licensed attorney and you're presenting this information. You're supposed to have done your homework. So I can imagine that, no, he's probably not very happy with this. But let me share this with you, because it looks like this is the place that the husband used. If you go back and look at the documents, this is the place that the husband used to find representation in court. And this is one of those places that's supposed to be helpful to people, people who may have limited resources. And a lot of times people don't understand when they say, oh, well, they have to go to court, they've been sued, or want to file a civil lawsuit against someone. They go, oh, well, can't I get a court appointed attorney? And they don't understand that with a civil trial or with a civil matter, you're not necessarily entitled to a court appointed attorney. That comes with criminal cases, okay? And I want to put an asterisk by that because there are all sorts of things related to that. But yeah, if you're going to be charged with murder or, I don't know, I don't want to go down that list. But if you're going to be charged with something like that, yes, okay, let me get a public defender, a court appointed attorney or something like that. So in Louisiana, they have this legal services corporation that provides assistance. And usually it's at no cost or low cost. Low fee is typically how some of these places charge for their services. And so it appears that this is the place that he was using. And so this is where the attorney was working. The documents show the attorney's name. The document has this Acadiana, I guess is how you pronounce it, Legal Services Corporation on it. And so if you go to this, you see, oh, okay, right, look at this. Join our team. You can apply. Disaster Resources Foreclosure Prevention Program. So this is some of the work that they do. Uncontested divorce, child custody, subsidized house. Look, bankruptcy, unemployment benefits. So these are all civil matters. These are all civil matters. They're not criminal. And so this is what they provide assistance with. And so this is who this attorney is working for. Okay, this is who this attorney is working for. And let me show you this. Let me go under our team here just to give you a little bit more understanding of this. So this is the board of directors. Now, I've looked up the attorney's name and I don't see the attorney's name here on the board of directors. Okay, the attorney is just an attorney here, likely just a W-2 employee. Look at the management team here. I'm going through the names here. I don't see the attorney's name up here as part of the management team. This is just an attorney showing up for work, trying to do his attorney job. And now he's been pulled into all this fraud. Not a part of management, not somebody high up, just a regular person trying to do their job and now been pulled in to this kind of fraud. And this is what I try to get people to understand. Anybody can be pulled into fraud. And one of the things I tell people is our state attorney general here in North Carolina, who is constantly suing other parties for frauds and scams that have been perpetrated on residents here in the state of North Carolina. His campaign, he's running for governor. His campaign was scammed out of, I think, almost like $50,000. So they will go after anybody. They've gone after Graceland. Okay, so no one is immune from having people do something fraudulent against them. We just have to be a little bit more vigilant about this, because there are people out there, like I said before, who are working nonstop to work on this. So yeah, so some of the other questions though that remain sort of unanswered here in this case is, why didn't he just ask for a divorce? Number one, why go through this whole fraudulent scheme and pull the mistress in and have her be a part of this? Like, what was the point of all of that? Why do all of that if you don't have to? Let me show you one of the documents here that they have in Yahoo that talks about this. And I just showed a little bit of it here in terms of him asking that the wife bear the costs of some of this. But let me scroll back up because let me see if I can find the information here about her. So here's the information on her. This was the mistress, and you can see here the bill of information. So this is basically laying out the charges against her for her involvement with this divorce fraud. We're just going to call it divorce fraud now because, the wife is thinking, I'm still married. The husband's out there getting a divorce, which she doesn't know anything about because he's never served her. She's just living her life with the kids and the husband, thinking all is cool. It says here, and you see her name and stuff there, and it says LaShonda Lachelle Pope, on or about July 15th, 2022, did willfully, and all this has just been coming out of the last couple of days, because she just showed up in court. She's got to go back to court in September. Did willfully, unlawfully, and intentionally commit the crime of injuring public records by the intentional removal, mutilation, destruction, alteration, falsification, and concealment of, and you see their record or document. So she has been to court. She has pleaded not guilty. And she's going to have to come back to court here. And so here was the petition that was originally filed on behalf of the husband. And you see his name there. Petition for divorce. I've enclosed 2 copies of the above pleading. Please return a conformed copy to me in the self-addressed stamped envelope. So yes, so when you're an attorney and you're filing these documents, you stick a few copies in there and ask them to send you at least one, stamped back. And you go ahead and include your envelope with it addressed and with the stamp up there so you can get it back. And so this is what he submitted. So you see here on the bottom, the company that I was just talking about. Acadiana, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not from Louisiana. That is how I would pronounce it. Acadiana Legal Service Corporation, a law firm that's providing, a corporation that's providing legal services to residents in the state of Louisiana. And it looks like it's primarily civil services. So a legitimate corporation, we just went to the website, a legitimate corporation. This person appears to be a legitimate attorney. Staff attorney, like I said, just a staff attorney who was doing this in their family law unit. And now the husband and his mistress have all these people entwined in their fraud. Now, one of the things that I think was missing with this, we don't know whether or not they are ever going to go after the husband. It's unclear, what the status is in terms of him and what his involvement may have been with this fraudulent divorce. And so the mistress, like I said before, the mistress is calling the wife, telling the wife on the phone, I got him, he's married to me, the records are public, and I'm going to be with him, and you're not. The mistress is saying all of this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, you're not going to be with him. You're going to be in jail. This is not going to turn out well for you in any way, And so it just is unbelievable. So the moment that you think you cannot be subject to a scam, the moment that you think you couldn't think of this sort of thing, who would do this sort of thing, jump through all of these hoops, go through all this work. That's a lot of work when you just could have just said you wanted a divorce. One of the things they said, she said here in the article, I think the husband said in the article or something like that, or she said she tried to talk to him, I think is what she said. It says, when asked, let me see here, when asked if she discussed the fraudulent divorce with her husband since the discovery, she said they talked about it over the phone, but claimed he was aggressive and never completed the conversation without hanging up the phone on her. So at this point in time, of course, as you can imagine, this is probably not a very amicable relationship, which, is an issue because they do have children. So that is very unfortunate. But you guys, go ahead. If you have not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button. I'll continue to keep you informed about some of these scams that are going on so that you can protect yourself and so that you can just be informed, not just for yourself, because sometimes we have friends and family members that may be in situations where we're just kind of going, okay, that does not sound right. And we need to be able to recognize when something doesn't sound right. I tell my clients all the time. If there is something in your gut, if you just sense that something's off, it just doesn't feel right. I tell them that all the time. Listen to your gut, listen to your instinct, because more than likely, your instinct is picking up on some cues that your brain just hasn't been able to fully comprehend yet. It just hasn't gone through everything, and you're not quite able to say, oh, okay, yep, I can point to A, I can point to B, I can point to C. So you're not quite there yet, but your instinct is. Your instinct is saying, hey, we've been here before. I recognize this, or I remember reading something. And so it may take your mind a moment to catch up. Go with your instinct. If it does not feel right, it probably is not right. All right. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Mwah. Peace.